Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Fish Life Outdoors. We're headed back to the Goat Lake. Mark, you about ready to hit it up?
Hell yeah.
Let's go, boys. Welcome back, Fish Life Degenerates. Welcome back to Fish Life Outdoors. Now, this is going to be a tale of 2 days, okay? I was out here last week. I'm fishing the same areas, but we had temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. I think we even reached 80 a day or two. Water temps was 68 to 70, okay? Oh, now, a week later, we've had nights in the 30s, not 30s. We've had nights in the mid to upper 40s all week. So air temperature today is only 63 and water temperature is only 63. So we're gonna see the differences here. Again, last week we had water temperatures anywhere from 66 to 70. Today, it's gonna be anywhere from 61 to 65 because of the air temperatures through the week. So bass were way shallow. They were on beds. I mean, they had made a big push shallow. Let's see what this cool front and this colder water does to them. Y'all come on. You got it. And little fish, son. Like I said earlier, we're out here a week later. Now, a week ago, again, they were up shallow. They were on beds. I was curious with the cold weather this week and the nights in the 40s and the water temperature dropping, if they would still be up here on beds. They still on beds. He looking at it. I was looking at it. There's another one in there. You see him? Another one still on the bed. 63-degree water. Look at that tail. Now look at that tail. Huh? I want to get a good look at that. Circle of life. That is a big snapping turtle with about a 4-pounder in his mouth. Y'all see that? Yeah, we got a decent fish here locked on right here. Mark done had 2 swings at him. Come up on the short end both times, but hey, everybody gets 3 strikes. And if by chance he swings a 3rd time, that's it. Z-Dub ain't gonna let him have it. Licks it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. About to set a hook. No. Look at it. There you are. Set a hook. Get him, Hammer. Keep him up. Keep him up. Good fish. Oh.
That's a good fish. I didn't run with that one.
Dude, y'all look at this fish I just about dropped. Y'all saw that on camera. Oh, you got it? Bad at all. That took a little work. Let's see. 40 minutes. 40 minutes we was on that fish right there. Not a giant, but it's a fish. Oh yeah, how about that? Once again, we're out here, completely different weather conditions. What's the high today? 63? 63 is the high temperature for today. So water temperature, the best we've seen is 62 and a half. Yeah. 62 and a half, 63. But they're still up here chomping, baby. little dinker magoo there while we rolling around bed hunting. Gotta sling the whack around a little bit, you know. Yeah, buddy.
I left it to you. I left it for you.
You're gonna be mad when I fucking pull that double digit off this son of a bitch.
No,
You're gonna be like, God darn. Should have fished it.
I won't throw him up in the air.
Oh.
Are you thinking? Which way you going? Which way you
You
going?
got me around now. Oh my. Hey, bad fish, bro.
Dude, and I left it. What kind of buddy is that?
How about my boy here? Y'all check it out.
I left
Look at that right there. So we get to a spot where there's submerged stumps. You can't see them from the water, but they're down in there, okay? I love to hit those submerged stumps during this time of year because sometimes bigger bass will move out and spawn next to them stumps. So I love to come through and just flip a wacky worm around these stumps. Well, we got to an area where we saw 8 or 10, not 8 or 10, shoot, 3 or 4 of these submerged stumps out through here. And I told my buddy, oh, Marcus back here, I said, hey, put the power poles down. Let's flip these stumps pretty good. Well, I'm re-rigging my bait from that last little dink that I just caught that y'all saw. And I get up back on the bow and I see a great big stump. Those are the best ones, by the way. And I said, Mark, look at this big stump up in front. He goes, bro, I didn't flip it. I was saving it for you. And I jokingly said, well, you're gonna be mad when I pull this 10-pounder off. Of course, that wasn't a 10-pounder. But no sooner than I got that out of my mouth did my line start singing because it was running through the water. And he was like, are you kidding me? Well, no, ZW never jokes around with the whack.
You got him. You little bite. On the whack.
Nice one right there on the whack. Now, my boy Mark here, my pods, he saw this fish while I was talking to you guys last time. Got set up on it. We flipped in there, flipped in there, flipped in there. We've been on this fish 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, easily.
There you go. Kept flipping in there, kept flipping in there, kept flipping in there. I mean, he would show a little bit of interest to the bait, but then he would run off. Well, I said, heck with it, let's go. I raised the power poles up, Mark's re-rigging something up, and we just drift a little bit. And I said, let me fire that whack in there a couple times. I started throwing that whack in there and he did not move. Here's why. I think it's because he could see or kind of sense that we were in the area. And when I raised my power poles up, we actually drifted farther away, cast it in there 3 or 4 times with the whack. Boom, he hammered it. Now, he wasn't leaving either. Previously, we'd flip in there, he'd run off. But when we drifted further away from the bed, then I flipped the whack in there 2 or 3 times, he literally did not move. He stayed there, stayed there, stayed there, looked at that whack, looked at that whack. So, if you see one acting kind of squirrely like that, back off and try to throw in there. Maybe he'll hammer down on it.
Go back. I can pick up a frog and go to town. Another good fish.
Hey, we got in here in the back of this pocket. The sun's going down, so we got shade and kind of darker conditions. Picked up the frog. Can't beat a frog bite. And as I'm talking about it, my boy over here is setting a hook with the whack on a good fish. Not too bad there, Hammer. That is a good, hey, that's a dang good fish right there.
Heck yeah, baby.
Come on. No, I'm talking about because of the camera.
Oh.
Heck yeah. What was that on? The old
The
dependable whack. All right, guys, let's talk about our bed fishing setup for a second. Of course, I have the old traditional white rage crawl or any kind of white crawl or tube bait, you know, with the bullet weight. But notice I've got that bobber stopper on there right there from 6 Cents. I like to do that anytime I'm pitching, because if I pitch over grass, let's just say I don't have this line on here. Okay, if I pitch over grass and my bait gets hung up in the grass, well, the bullet weight will slide down and it'll be down here in the bed with this bait still up here in the grass. Okay, and I don't like that. That's why I always put that bobber stopper on top. Now, if you notice on this rig up, I've only got bobber stopper, bullet weight, and then straight down to the bait. I think white draws enough attention. I don't think we need a glass bead right here. My other rig up, much like the one you just saw, again, I've got the bobber stopper up here at the top. Okay, now I've also got a bullet weight and a glass bead. I don't know if you can hear that. Y'all hear that? That just provides that little bit of extra noise. Okay, so when you do flip it into the bait and you're shaking it a little bit. Now, I don't like to take my bobber stop and go all the way down against my weight on the glass bead. I like to leave about, you know, about that much. That way when I am shaking it, it gives that weight plenty enough room to jump up and down and vibrate and really hit that glass bead and make some noise. So I always have 2 bed fishing rigs rigged up when I'm out bed fishing, because I like to I like to flip in there with one. If it shows a little interest but won't commit, I'll switch to the other one. You know, just constantly going back with something different, try to keep the fish off balance, which I think gives me an advantage. So hope this helps you guys out. Let's talk about some of the areas we were fishing today. Shallow water, clearest water we could find. Water temperatures today was 61 to 64. 64 is the best we saw. Of course, we're in a cold front right now. We got nights in the 40s, which is drastically affecting our water temperature. Also, we are finding fish bedded up the best around vegetation. So if you've got some shoreline vegetation, look for holes in that vegetation. And a lot of times there's going to be, this time of year, there's going to be a fish sitting in it. If there's not, move on. Some of the fish we flipped into, you know, as soon as the bait hits the water and enters the bed, that fish takes off and is gone. Don't come back for a little while. That's a fish that you're not going to catch. It's spooky. It's may have seen 100 baits today. Best to just, instead of wasting time, move on to the next one, because there's going to be some fish where you flip in there and as soon as that bait gets into the bed, boy, it's going to get nose down and it's going to lock in on that bait. So hope this helps you guys out on your next time out bed fishing. Remember, man, that glass bead can really play a role. But one thing you've got to do now, I want to say, after a fish catch or you miss a few fish or you're working through tough cover, make sure you're feeling right here, because I'm sure you can't see that, but that line is chafed. Okay, those glass beads are really bad about chafing your line. So right now I'm fixing to retie this bait because I can feel some imperfections right above my knot, and that's because of the glass bead. So hey, appreciate you guys watching this episode of Fish Life Outdoors. If you like the content, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. But hey, until next time, when you bite that life, get out and live it, baby. Hey guys, I want to give you a quick rundown of the video you just watched. Again, 2 different weather patterns. Last week, the video you saw, it was perfect weather, 80 degrees, nights in the 60s. You know, everything was good leading up to that weekend. This weekend, we had 4 days where nights were in the 40s, highs were in the mid 60s, mid to low 60s. So I wanted to go hit the same exact areas and see how that affected the fish. I knew fish were there from the weekend before. I wanted to see if there were still fish up there, and there were. The size wasn't as good as last week, but you know, the areas we fished, shallow water, less than 3 foot of water, vegetation in the area, whether that be gator grass or coontail, a little bit of hydrilla, some pencil grass, and then we flipped a few isolated stumps that were just under the water. Baits we used, you saw that. You saw the bed fishing rig up. We used a couple of Texas rig crawl style baits for bed fishing. We used wacky worms. But something very interesting, the whole week after this video was made, we also had nights in the 40s, highs in the 60s, okay? With some rain in that week. Well, the elites were here that next weekend. And what I learned from watching them, and again, I'm paying attention, right? I'm trying to learn every time I watch the elites or MLF. I'm trying to learn, what are these guys doing? How are they figuring this out, right? So what I learned is that cold front actually did affect the fish. A lot of your bigger fish moved out to those shallow points that are on the points leading into spawning pockets. Zaldane and Quentin Capo, they really fished that glade point, that shallow point, pretty good and hard. And we all know why, because glade is one of the best spawning pockets in the world, not just Lake Fork. It's just one of the better spawning pockets I've ever seen in my life. They even made that comment on the Bassmaster live streams, that glade was such a great spawning pocket. So, and if you watched any of the footage, you saw that some of the fish they were catching, it was a mix of pre and post spawn bass. We still have bass on Lake Fork that have not spawned yet. This full moon, which I think may be tonight, I think that's going to push a whole nother wave shallow on all of our East Texas lakes into spawn. So beautiful thing about this time of year, based on the weather patterns, you're going to have, all three phases of fish. You're still going to have some pre-spawn fish. You're still going to have fish on beds, and you're also going to have post-spawn fish. Now, with our weather patterns, I don't think any of the bass have moved out deep yet, like 18 to 30 foot. I haven't seen any fish out there yet. Everything I've seen have been shallow points. And when I say shallow points, I mean 2 to 8 foot, okay, on these points. And that's where these guys were catching these fish, on shallow points. And I'm talking about huge bags from Livesey. The champion, he ended up winning it. Patrick Walters, Quentin Capo, Chris Zaldane. I mean, the list goes on, right? But what you saw is your bigger bags come from these shallow points with walking topwater baits, jerk baits, glide baits, big swim baits. So it does tell me that the bigger fish did pull out, okay, on those shallow points. So, the main takeaway from this video is basically a 5 to 6 degree water temperature didn't affect the fish that I found from the weekend before. But for additional days, 4 to 5 additional days of that cooler weather actually did affect the fish somewhat. And it pulled some of those fish out. So, hey, I hope this little rundown helped you guys out on your next time on the water. Again, pay attention to weather patterns. Pay attention to what you're seeing while out on the lake. If you see a windblown point with a bunch of birds, go fish that point. There's shad. There's birds are there for a reason. There's shad there, and if there's shad there, good Lord, there's gonna be fish there. Hey, if you like these little rundowns, let me know in the comments. If you don't like them, also let me know in the comments. I got thick skin. And also, hey, if you like the content that we're pushing out to you guys, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. But hey, until next time, fish lifers, when you bite that life, get out and live.